Okay, so who might be an order, or no, give me an example of an animal that feeds on insects.
Anteater.
Okay, what order would they be in?
Insectivora.
Are they?
Insect eater. Do insects have meat in them?
Yeah. Okay, well, maybe we haven't made it that far yet.
No, I think we have. We did, I just forgot.
Okay.
Yeah, there's one that's an insect.
Okay.
Devora.
Because you said anteater, right?
Yes.
Are you sure about that?
I feel like I'm wrong.
You would be incorrect.
I'm pretty right in that I'm wrong.
Now, the reason we say that is, okay, yes, they feed on insects, but what order are they in? Because there's other animals that do feed on insects that are in different orders. Xanthara, okay? So there's two of them. You said insectivora, which would be moles, shrews. Your xantharans, you had said anteaters. There's perhaps one more. Okay, and what's significant about those, whether you say Chiptera, I say Chioptera because I just think it sounds better, but we know what you're referring to. So who is a Chiopteran? Okay, so then there's something unique about this order of mammals that feeds on insects, that flies, that also that also does something else. So what's significant about that echolocation? Right, you're able to detect something without looking. Are those the only animals that have echolocation? Okay, so when you refer to those mammals, what order are we referring to? Cetaceans. That's right. So that perhaps gets us somewhere up to speed where we had left off with. Okay. So, and you're not limited to what we have here, but you would not put these mammals, Gesundheit, in with an artrodactylian or a parasadactylian. Okay? No, those are mammals too. But it's the toes that we're referring to. Okay? And also, these mammals don't have hooves either. Okay? So when we're looking at some of these that actually have hooves, they do overlap, just like eating insects. Could we do pigs have hooves?
Yes.
Okay. Even though pigs have hooves, could we put them in with carnivora?
No.
Yes. Yes, we could. Okay. Because, give you and I'm sure this has happened somewhere, where some farmer may have, let's say, fallen victim to falling into a group of pigs, and it might be, maybe they're intoxicated. I'm just using that as an example, okay? So it might be easy for them to pass out, or even have a medical emergency where they pass out amongst a group of pigs that could be even as small as, let's say, 60 pounds. Repeat that. You will not find that person. They will consume them. And I think 60 pounds might be a little too small. Maybe we better increase that to, per se, somewhere maybe about 100 pounds. Now, you might think, my gosh, we do have some pretty good sized bones in our body, which is true. But you also have to take into account even the jaw strength of some of these animals is actually pretty astounding. Okay? So it's one thing to have a strong jaw like that, but so the pig must also have something else within its mouth as a tool. It's got to have the right type of teeth as well, which it does. What is significant about having trash, food waste on a farm that has pigs? How much of that waste do you actually throw away? Very minimal, because watermelon, is it rind or what? Is it rind? Okay, so the rind, eggshells, any type of food byproduct, just throw to the pigs because they will eat it. Okay. So did we talk about the sea lions?
Yes.
Okay.
I remember you said something about it. What was it?
I don't know. That's because
They do like a call thing
something about imploding or erupting your eardrums. Okay. I bet I'm standing right in the way again. I will move out of your way. Soaking this up, and that's okay. Asked and answered. Okay. Like a sponge, or like a peripherin.
I'm soaking it up like a peripherin. Sean's soaking it up.
Or like Tom. Who doesn't soak it, he eats it.
We're concerned what other people may or may not do that are not in here. Perhaps hopefully you believe that. Only you know the answer. So, one aspect, remember, the only thing in Mother Nature, or the way the man upstairs designed everything, there's only one thing that we can count on with animals in the animal kingdom, is that they are constantly changing. Okay? That's the only thing that stays the same, is every animal is going to change to fit its surroundings. Why would something like this be important? Well, first of all, here's your clue right here. What type of mammal are these? Do you find them on land? They're aquatic. Okay? So the reason something like this is important is because if there are sea carnivores, are there sea herbivores then?
Yes.
Well, certainly. That's right. But manatees. Okay? So with this, when we're talking about these streamlined bodies, if their diet is moving faster, these animals better change, or what's going to happen to them? They're going to die off, because if your food source is moving faster than yourself, well then that's where a problem could arise for animals like that. And food is such a driving characteristic for natural selection, okay, or evolution, whichever way you want to look at it, because a prime example of something like that, and sometimes I think we really don't know the answer, what lies beneath certain depths of the ocean. For anyone who's, I got to think about this. Something that has to do with aquatic animals, and Jason Statham.
The Meg.
Okay? Who knows what lies beneath the ocean surface? Not 50 meters. We're talking 300 to, well, let's go feet, I guess. Who knows what happens a mile below the surface? Okay? It's believed that megalodon are extinct. Okay? It's true that they are gone, but their lineage still lives on. But what did megalodon have to do in order to survive? Typically, we think that animals always become bigger to survive, but that's not always the case. So the closest relative that we could come up with is this great example. Great white. Okay? So what happens then is it's believed that megalodon's food source disappeared, okay, or started to maybe there's a climatic change of some sort. So I think it's always fair to say that global warming, we can't deny that, but it's not, in my estimation, it is not a recent news event. The climate is always going to be changing. We observed that when we saw before the dinosaurs. There's recorded time where the Earth was at the hottest point, long time, of course, eons ago. So the Earth, for what I think happens, that doesn't mean that that's, oh, geez, he says that global warming and everything isn't real. Well, of course it's real, but it is going to go in stages, and that's just an opinion of mine. But anyway, should their food source get faster, that's probably why they developed streamlined bodies. Okay. These animals are always on the move because they certainly need to drink lots of water. So one of the aspects that is, and it's a funny joke about these, I think, it's just people like to use, they might put themselves down and say, yes, I might look like an elephant, but I've got a memory like one too. So I'm anybody out there. Okay? So what we mean by that is, why would we say that these animals have such a great memory? They know. If you are an animal that is constantly moving, okay, and if you're moving in hot regions, you better know where that next water source is. It's going to be, could be lights out for those types of animals, okay? So, yes, memories like if you say, you got a memory like an elephant. It's not saying anything about your size, okay? It's saying something about their intuitive memory. It's just be careful when you say things, because how people perceive them, that might not be how you meant that, but it's how it's actually perceived. Okay. So since they're always on the move, notice they have, I should say that, oh, right here. Okay. Why do they have trunks?
Because it's hard for
Yeah, it sucks in their water, but maybe an ordinary suitcase just doesn't do or work, so they have a trunk.
Also, they carry a lot of water. Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
I get it.
Okay. But one of the things that's really unique about these, okay, 1,000 maybe. Body would have 1,000 muscles on it, and I don't even know if that's accurate. It might be thousands of muscles. The reason that we say that is, think of your own body. How many? Oh boy. Do we remember possibly how many bones might be in the human body? Maybe we didn't talk about, but I think we did. You're not too far off. Okay? It's somewhere, it's either an accepted value of 206 or 213. It just depends how you count the sacrum, I believe, as separate bones or as one. Okay. So with that, if the human body has over 200 bones, you know how many muscles it has? It's got about 650. Human body has about 650. So we're teeny and tiny. So think of this elephant then that has this really, really agile trunk that probably has thousands of muscles. And that's not a stretch of the imagination, because our own body has 600. Okay. We made reference to this, okay? So look at the animals we're talking about, okay? So what would that mean? Look at the animals that we see, okay? So without any further context, what could you tell me that you might think that this means?
Run fast.
Nope, not the hare.
They don't have a uvula.
Nope,
They're,
nope, all mammals have a uvula. And this is a tough question. Nope, all mammals do that.
Kiddies do it too.
We'll return to that question
Number of toes, I think.
after this slide. Some of them can be, yes, I suppose that's a fair assessment of that.
Well, they like running into cars.
They have 4 legs.
Is it with their face shape?
You said it wasn't their horns.
No. It's going to become more evident on the next slide. Sorry?
They have the ability to eat grass.
Well, so do horses.
Darn.
You know what that is called?
Excuse me.
Do you know what the ability to eat grass is called? I don't know horses.
No, thank God you're doing just
Neither
fine.
do I. Large flat. Is it a rumen? That's like horses instead of grass.
So when we talk about this is the first chamber of their stomach, okay? Then what happens is after, okay? For anyone who spent any time on a farm or observed anything on the farm with these animals here, you might be asking yourself, you're visiting this farm, maybe you have a extended family member, aunt, uncle, grandpa, something to that effect. Man, you fed your cattle 3 hours ago. They're still chewing. Well, that's the process, yes.
They got them really good.
You perhaps know this, you've heard of it, but you just, that's true.
They're molars. Pretty
Okay.
good teeth.
Exactly. For some reason, okay, with a certain, we'll just say wad of food, it's going to be some plant-based substance, that they regurgitate that then. So we're talking about 3 hours after they ate, you see them, they're still chewing. It's what we refer to possibly as a bolus, I think. That bolus is just a wad of, let's just say grass, alfalfa, silage, that it can't pass from my interpretation is it can't pass from the rumen into the omasum yet. No.
I could have told this.
Close, that it's too big, okay? I always got to think about this. I think it is the omasum. So again, they regurgitate this and they chew it, swallow it again, and regurgitate some more, and then chew it and swallow it. And then finally, it gets pulverized enough that it can pass into the next chamber, and then to the abomasum, and then to the reticulum. And then it finally goes into the, perhaps we could say the small intestine.
They don't just chew it big enough the first time. Like, is there like a reason?
Okay, and that's a good question. And one of the things to keep in mind here is for digestion and for now anybody, whether you're talking about an animal like this or a human, what type of diet is easier to absorb? Plant-based materials or protein-based materials? Protein is much, much easier to break down and digest. So when you ask, why does it not able to just chew it right the first time? Valid question. It's just that you also have to take into account, do these animals just eat a small amount or maybe 10 pounds of food? Probably about 10 pounds of food. And in order to do that, the intestines have to be really, really long because it takes a lot of energy to break this down. And the nutrition that you get from plants just is not very good, and that's why they have to take so much of it in. And I don't know if that answers your question on why is it like that? Why don't they just do it well the first time? Well, yes, they do, but it's just how nature selected them to actually chew and absorb their materials. So, like what we had said is this term will make more sense when we move forward. Here we see that same one. But what do we see here? And then here? Okay? So yes. So when you look at this, okay, I suppose it's got a, I don't know if that's any better. This is supposed to be their two hooves. It can even be four if it's an even number. But when we're talking about these animals then, okay, is it possible for these to also be ungulates? Yes, they got hooves, but their bones might be 3 or 5 toes, okay? Because what do these have for hooves? Zebras and horses. Notice I say zebras and horses. Oops.
3 toes. 10, 12 toes. 4, 11 toes.
You might think, but
3.
say that again. I think you were right. That's why I said say it again. Just one. One is an odd number. Yeah. Well, give yourself a little credit, huh? Well, and it might look like that, but those little nubs are probably bones that would still give you a number of 3, which is odd. So one of the things to keep in mind is you could also actually probably look at elephants' feet too, but a 3,500-pound elephant steps on your foot, is that gonna hurt? Say that again. Oh, okay. Do you think that's gonna hurt? Do you think that's gonna hurt?
Yes.
Probably not. You'd be amazed. At least my perception. Underneath that foot, it is really, really soft. I can't speak from experience. I think that's just something that I believe I had read, whether it's on or even observed on one of these nature programs. I don't believe that their feet are really, they're heavy animals, but I don't think it's going to hurt that much if they step on your foot.
So they have a really good distribution.
Right, which they have to. Okay. So, where does that put us? I think we're almost done. Last one. Okay? Because you had asked earlier, okay? Because here we see carnivores, okay? And then now we see herbivores, okay? So probably the most important aspect is correlate the animal to the order, okay? That's probably one of your number one priorities, the order to the animal. That's where I think, or I would suggest that you start, okay? So, for instance, again, we just mix these up. A rodention is okay, rats, mice. I think maybe gophers were on there too. Okay. Opossums, koala bears, marsupials, okay, artidactylians. Who's an artidactylian?
A pterodactyl.
No, no. I might have heard it. Cattle. Okay. And, okay, then let's see here. A vampire bat. Chiropterans. Okay, so you kind of get the idea here. Okay, so what does that do for tomorrow? I don't know how long the play goes. I presume that,
It's an hour and 45 minutes.
okay, so where that puts us in this hour, I'm not sure. If we have, we'll probably have class tomorrow, but we'll discuss that when you get here. Okay, so I need to go grab a bus. So we'll wrap up with this. We'll catch up to you next time.